when you stand up for yourself, whether that's leaving or leading effectively, that feels really good. When you appease, I think that's a short-term hit on your self-worth.
The truth dial, I've seen a very strong correlation between someone's level of fulfillment in life and success towards their goals and where their truth dial is.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1044, last week's live podcast, What Are You Saying About Yourself to Yourself? A very clever title, I must say. Today, for episode number 1045, happy Wednesday, the 3 options you have in all your relationships. So, as you know, and I say on every single episode, and I probably will forever, a lot of the best questions I get, or a lot of the new awarenesses that I have, are based on me going on other shows. And one of the questions I get often, or one of the topics we talk about most often, is outgrowing people, the community, friendships, relationships, resetting relationships, telling the truth, leaning into your authentic self. And Alan said to me today, he said, well, there's 3 options you have in all your relationships. And he walked me through it. And then we said, you know what, let's do an episode on that, because I think when it comes to relationships, it seems like, not that people haven't studied them necessarily, but I think a lot of people believe that a relationship is the way it is forever, and there's not a lot that you can do to influence it or change it, and that is what we're going to talk about today.
So I had a client once who was an entrepreneur and was pouring a lot of herself into her career and her entrepreneurial endeavors. It's a tough word to say.
It is a tough word.
And I remember her partner at the time was having a really hard time with it, to the point where he was actually Googling how to date someone who's an entrepreneur. And in my opinion, I coached this person for many years, and in my opinion, I told this person, I said, it doesn't seem like this is aligned. It doesn't seem like they really support you. They obviously don't value what you value. You know, I know how much you pour your heart and soul into this mission. And I told her there's really 3 options. You can either lead, which takes tremendous courage and vulnerability, and like tell your partner how you feel about. At one point, this partner called her delusional. Said, you're so delusional. And this client of mine does have big, audacious goals, but they're not delusional goals. They're really not. And so I said, you can lead by having the courageous conversation. Say, listen, that hurt, because she was venting to me about it, which I appreciate that she trusts me with that. But it really did hurt her. And it was very clear that it was hurting her. And it was very clear that she felt unsupported. And this isn't uncommon with all the coaching that I've done over the years. It's not uncommon to have a partner who maybe doesn't have similar core aspirations and doesn't really understand why you have to do what you have to do, especially in entrepreneurship. So I said, you can lead, which is going to take courage and vulnerability, and you're going to have to say, like, listen, that really hurts when you do that. Can you not say things like that? This is what I'm doing, and I really need your support. So that's leadership. Leadership is have the courageous conversation, equip your partner or your friend or your family member with the truth to the best of your ability, and then hopefully they will grow. And a lot of times they do. Honestly, I've given this advice to many, many people, and usually when the truth dial, Emilia created something called the truth dial, and when the truth dial goes up, typically the other person starts to grow. Not always, but usually. So number 1 is lead. Number 2 is leave. If you do dial up your truth and you're courageous and vulnerable and you talk to your partner about this and you say, listen, I need support. This is going to be hard without your even with your support, this is going to be difficult. So without it, it's not even going to happen. And it's really important to me. So you can leave. If it doesn't work when you try to lead, you can leave. That is an option. That's an option that I've taken in past relationships as well. And then the third option is an option, but I think this is what a lot of people do, and I've definitely been guilty of this in the past, is I appease. So you can lead, you can leave, or you can appease. And I really do believe those are the three options. Lead is have the courageous conversation, try to help the other person understand, try to get them on board and realign your core aspirations, core values, and core beliefs. 2 is leave. Say, listen, maybe this isn't going to work out. Our dreams are different. Our goals are different. Our core values are different, whatever it might be. Or you can appease, which is stay silent and don't bring it up and just kind of deal with the fact that you feel unsupported. And so this client of mine for probably a year or two chose the appease option, and eventually it got really, really bad, and eventually she did lead and then eventually leave. And now, I mean, you know, she's off to the races and she's able to be her full authentic self. And quite frankly, she seems, I'll use her words, and again, this is anonymous. She said, it's a huge weight off my shoulders. A huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders because I'm not trying to align something that is not aligned. And it never really was. And if you've ever been in a relationship that was not aligned, I certainly have, in hindsight, it becomes very clear. It's like, you know what? We were trying to make that work, but it was never really going to work. And it becomes very obvious when you do leave that it was very misaligned. So you can either lead, which is realign it. You can leave, which is just let it diverge. Or you can appease and kind of, you know, appease the other person and try to make it work through that way. But I don't think that's sustainable long term, because it's certainly not the fulfilling option. And I think that it's very hard to be fulfilled when you're not being yourself and when you're not growing into your goals and dreams. I do believe fulfillment is an inevitable byproduct of maximizing your potential and living in your calling. And if you're not really being yourself, it's going to be very difficult to be fulfilled in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a family member or intimate relationship. But those are the three options: lead, leave, or appease. And we all have all three options that we can choose. And I guess just choose them consciously.
I think if you're going to appease, it's got to be a relationship that's very, very, very... So we talked about the 5 buckets before. You have nostalgia. These are people that you see like maybe once a year. Maybe you don't see them at all. Maybe they're just like Facebook friends that you used to be friends with, and it's just based on nostalgia. You have maintenance. These are people that you might see more often, but you don't necessarily expect to learn anything from. It just kind of, we're going to hang out. Maybe we're going to chat about old times, but my main focus in that friendship or relationship is just maintaining it. Then you have your mentee bucket, or does growth come first? Mentee comes first. Mentee bucket is people that you are mentoring. Then you have growth bucket. These are people who have similar core aspirations and they want to grow at a similar rate to you, and they're focused on a lot of the things that you're focused on. And then you have the wisdom bucket, which is mentors, people who are way, way, way ahead of you. I like to think of it, Alan, from a perspective of, if you're going to appease, it should probably only be either the nostalgia or maybe maintenance bucket, where it's like, look, I'm not willing to break the friendship, or I'm not willing to create resistance or create drama in this where I only see this person once a year. It's almost like your action has to be connected to the amount of impact that negativity or that circumstance is having to your relationship. So if it's somebody that's very, very, very close to you, you got to try to lead first. If you really value that human being and that connection and that relationship, you got to try to lead. But if it's somebody who you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I only see this person once a year. I see this person on Thanksgiving every year. I'm just going to appease. We don't have to have this conversation at the Thanksgiving table about my entrepreneurial goals. I think, because as you were saying that, Alan, I realized that, you know, sometimes when I'm around extended family, I'll appease.
Right.
But it's in my mind, it's like, we're not going to do this here. We're not going to do this here today. If I saw you every day, that would be a completely different thing. So yeah, to your point, it all depends on that person, for example, you used. Yeah, if it's somebody that you're looking at having a future with, you got to try to lead first. You got to try to lead. And then also understand, how does your self-worth get impacted or affected by the decision you make? Alan and I had a really long talk about self-worth before this. And when you stand up for yourself, whether that's leaving or leading effectively, that feels really good. When you appease, I think that's a short-term hit on your self-worth, depending on where it is. So that's a whole nother thing, but that's very important to understand as well.
Well, I agree. And it really does come down to, is this a relationship that I want to invest in or not? If it's a relationship you really want to invest in, you're going to have to try to lead. I'm sorry. Lead. They're very similar. LLA, lead, leave, or appease. Kevin wanted to make it 3 L's, but I've already thought of it as LLA. Yeah. But yeah, if it's a relationship that you want in your future, you got to try to lead first. And the last thing that I'll share on this episode is the truth dial. I've seen a very strong correlation between someone's level of fulfillment in life and success towards their goals and where their truth dial is. I'll give you one example. So one of my clients, when I first started working with them, probably a year and a half ago now, I recently asked, I said, where was your truth dial in your relationship, in your intimate relationship, when we first started working together? He's like, oh, dude, maybe a 2. And he's like, yeah, like me and my intimate relationship, we were in trouble. Like I was suppressing my truth. I wasn't telling her my truth. I wasn't expressing things that bothered me. I was just kind of suppressing it. And I'm like, okay, where is it now? He's like, honestly, 8, maybe 9. And this person, not only is their relationship flourishing, but they're succeeding at a far higher level too. And the cool part about this is that their intimate partner has actually achieved way more success. And I told him this early on. I said, your partner wants this. I can tell. I've met her. She wants to grow. She wants to know the truth. She wants you to tell her the truth. She's gonna be fine, man. Like, you got this. You can do it. And trust me, I suck at this too, honestly. I'll just be honest about that. It's very difficult for me at times. I was joking with Emilia last night. We were on the couch. We were eating Greek yogurt and with Oreos in it, the best. And we were talking about the first time she ever asked for constructive feedback. It was like probably a month in. She's like, what do you think is my biggest bottleneck to like my long-term success? Something along those lines. And I was like, oh no. Right? Because my brain knows. I'm a coach. So right. I've got like several things. And I didn't want to, let me pull out my list and, rattle them off. No. But like I was so scared because I didn't want to affect our relationship negatively. And I didn't want her to feel bad about herself. That's not, but I essentially said, you allow interruptions into your life all the time. People interrupt you constantly. She was in real estate at the time and she gets phone calls all the time, unscheduled, unsolicited, text messages, emails. I mean, she's got too many people trying to get a hold of her too often to where she can't get in flow. She can't get focused. And so I said, honestly, other people, like you're allowing too many other people into your bubble too often, and you don't get a chance to do your deeply meaningful work. And I probably didn't say it that well, but that's my new verbalization of it. And my point is that I'm not good at this either. I really don't feel that good at this. I'm getting better. And now I'm not, now Emilia asks me questions like that all the time, and I'm just rattling them off now because we have that kind of certainty in relationship, and she's got such a growth mindset that I now get it. Like she really wants feedback, like more and more and more. I mean, we're going through her finances. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. So you got to try to lead. Maybe these people want to be led. Maybe they want your expertise. Maybe they want to grow. You're never going to know if you presuppose that they don't. And if you're like me and you spent a lot of time in your childhood around people who maybe didn't have a growth mindset, it can be difficult to give feedback to people. But it's really important to try because you might see that your relationships actually get better, not worse.
Hi, everyone. It was so awesome to meet you during our group coaching, G6. The reason I signed up in the first place is that I've been really doing self-improvement in all of my adult life, but I've been doing it on my own. I've been reading books. I watch, read books and, listen to podcasts and everything. But signing up for group coaching is having a group of people all working towards the same thing, bettering their lives financially, health-wise, relationships, just all of it, the full package. So I believe everyone could benefit from group coaching. Doesn't matter, how successful you've been in the past, how many other groups that you've joined up. This is something different. I absolutely know that Kevin and Alan are changing lives and will do so much more, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
I would definitely second that. It's a challenge for me too. The closer you get to home, the closer you get to your heart, the harder it is to tell the truth because the stakes seem a little bit higher. I told Alan this story, and while it's not connected to relationships, I think that it can also, another title for this episode could be the 3 options you have in all of your communications. So Taryn and I got Instacart delivered, and we live in an apartment, and it said it's here. So if you don't have Instacart, it's an app where you can order groceries. Somebody goes and shops for you. They bring them to your house. Awesome. Love it. Saves us time. Awesome. So somebody came, and on the app, it said, this person is here. So this person is here with your order. And I went outside, and there was nobody there. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, so I'll just wait for them to text us. They usually text us when they get here. And then like a half hour later, we get a knock on our door. Pretty loud knock. And our cats go scurrying away because they're afraid of everything. And I was like, okay, this is something. I got to get off the couch. This is a real shame for me. I'm in my pajamas.
It's a huge concern.
Not ideal. Not ideal. So I go to the door.
My one day.
Yeah. And I go to the door and I open it, and it is the gentleman who brought us our groceries. And he's like, hey, I've been knocking at the door outside for like the last 30 minutes. I was walking around. I knocked so hard that somebody opened the door for me. You really have to leave your number to get into the building next time. And I said, oh, my apologies. Usually the driver or whoever's delivering it just texts us when they get here. And he said, well, my phone didn't work because I don't have any service. So you have to leave your number next time. And in this moment, I could have done a number of things. I could have led and said, look, everybody else has always had a signal here. So next time, maybe you can just text us or you can just call us. You could have sent us a message. Like everybody else, it always works for. So I could have led. I could have left and just ignored it completely and said, okay, whatever, thank you, have a good one. Or what I did is I kind of appeased, and I told Alan this. I said, I accepted responsibility and said, that's my bad, my apologies. I didn't realize you wouldn't have service, but I understand it's 100 degrees out. You're sweating profusely. I would be frustrated as well. I will do my best to not let that happen again. And in that moment, I was running through my head, like, what is the most valuable thing I could do here? Am I going to try to give this person a lesson right now? No, that's probably not the best course of action. I don't want to have an argument. I'm going to take my groceries and go inside.
Put up your dukes.
Put up your dukes. Let's square off and settle this like we would in the old days. But I think that's another thing is, and again, this is like self-worth is heavy on the brain because we've been talking about it a lot, but your decision might be connected to your level of self-worth.
For sure.
If you naturally just go appease, if that's the button you hit more often than not, even with your close relationships, maybe it's because you have low self-worth and you're not believing in your own value and willing to stand up for yourself. But this is just an example too. I always think of when somebody gets my food order wrong, I never, ever, ever send it back. Ever. Doesn't matter. I could be like allergic to shellfish and they could bring that out and be like, yeah, no, this is good. I'll power through it. No worries. No stress.
Why?
Self-worth, probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's probably one of them. Or I don't know. I don't like being inconvenient. That's like a thing for me. But that could go to self-worth as well. But that's a whole different episode. So,
but then there's the other end of that too, where I remember I was, I'll keep this anonymous, but I was with someone a long time ago who every time we'd always go out to eat, there was always something wrong with the meal or whatever. And I remember I turned to her and I said, like, have you ever thought about just being grateful that you have food? And so that can go too far too.
For sure.
Yeah, maybe if they brought you out shellfish and you're allergic, you should probably say something. But like, there's also some truth to like, be a little more grateful that you have food and you don't have to be a dick
there's a way to
every
say
time.
it. There's a way to say it too of like, hey, maybe, but again, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know what the balance is, but hey, maybe I misspoke when I ordered, but I was really hoping I could get salmon.
Right.
Versus like, hey, this is haddock. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'm not eating this.
And
it's interesting.
These are the options: lead, leave, or appease. Understand the implications on your self-worth. Maybe that's a whole nother episode. Yeah. But Kev, when you did say that you could have led with that, I keep saying DoorDash. It's not DoorDash. Instacart. What it really would have been if you were going to lead, just because I want to give this to the listeners, is it would have been, okay, I understand. I'm sorry that this was really hard on you, but it is Instacart's responsibility to text me, and again, that's not against you, but I also want to be truthful. Like I in the future, if you could find a way to make your phone work, that would be best. Yeah. See, even that, it's like really hard to do that. Even saying it was hard because I don't want to be disrespectful. So just for the listeners, this is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. I really do believe this simple framework, just start noticing, am I leading, leaving, or appeasing? Because I would either appease or leave a lot more in the past. And lately I've been leading a lot more. And you might be surprised. Sometimes it ends up working out really well. And sometimes it's like, okay, everybody grows now. Everybody's going to have a new awareness now. And then, yeah, there's a little, Brene Brown calls this rumbling. In book club, we're reading Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. And Emilia was actually reading me. She bought Atlas of the Heart as well. And we were reading on the couch last night while I was eating my yogurt. She was reading to me. It was the best. The best. Beautiful book. But anyways, so Brene Brown talks about rumbling. She calls it a rumble. So whenever you're going to lead, it's giving courageous truth. It takes vulnerability and courage. And it's a rumble, a little rumble. You know, it doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a huge, passionate argument. It can just be a little rumble of like, okay, you know, fair enough, that kind of thing. So try that option. Start taking notice. How often are you hitting the appease button? How often are you hitting the leave button? I think Kevin tends to do that. You know, I'm out. I'm out. And then how often are you hitting the lead button? Kev, very last story, I promise. I know we got to go. I remember Kevin and I were in the car. We're heading to Chipotle. We're up in New Hampshire. This is many, many years ago, before the Hyperconscious podcast, and I was on the Hyperconscious podcast. Before we partnered up, I should say. And you had met Taryn, and you two were hanging out, like kind of dating. And I remember you were telling me about her and all these things, and you're like, do you think I closed the door on that too fast? I'll never forget when you asked that. You think I screwed that up? I was like, honestly, man, yeah. I think you closed the door on that too fast. And obviously, that was true, right? But that's you probably got cold feet and like just hit the leave button too quick, obviously. And then it was like a year and a half later or so, you're like, and you hit her back up to get coffee, which is awesome. And now you're
getting married.
You know, getting married. So
if you're
you never
listening
know
to this,
what leading courageously can do.
Right.
You know,
if you're listening to this episode on Wednesday, we are leaving Sunday morning for Colorado. So all of this is going to be weird for me. All of next week's episodes, while you're listening, I will be gallivanting through parts of Colorado. It's very
gallivanting.
Strange. Gallivanting.
It's a great word.
So if you don't follow me on social, make sure you do, because there'll be many beautiful photos of Taryn and I and the wonderful landscape and all those things. Hot air balloons. Terrified. Don't want to do it, but
oh my God, I've been up in one once.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Don't.
Oh yeah, man. Scared of heights.
Yeah, same.
Sorry. Scared
Don't.
of heights.
How dare you?
It's gonna be
safe.
fine.
It's safe.
No,
it's gonna be fine.
I'll hit the appease button. It's gonna be
please
fine.
do. Please do.
It's gonna be totally fine. Not scary at all.
I led because
it was
I
also
looked at
awesome.
I looked at the stats. First
okay. I also may or may not have been intoxicated up there.
Really?
So it probably would have been worse. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Why did my phone just ring? Did you hear that?
I did.
My silent mode is on.
Do you got Instacart or?
No.
I'm just joking. Is it Instacart calling?
No, it's I have a Robo Killer app.
Okay.
Now it's gone. I don't know. That was very strange. Okay, that's my bad. It's on silent, so I don't know why my phone rang. I apologize for wasting everybody's time.
But the hot air balloon will be very cool. It was beautiful. It really was beautiful. But
you can stop.
I was also scary.
You can stop now. I know you're trying to make up for the fact that you've jeffed me. You can stop. It's okay.
Okay, sounds good.
I might be intoxicated too. So
I hit all three buttons right there. See?
I might
leave, and appease. I'm gonna take off.
I might be intoxicated too. It's a 5 a.m. flight, so I mean, whatever. Maybe I'll have a
whatever you got to do.
Mimosa, wherever the kids are drinking nowadays. Okay, Next Level Nation. I know many of our amazing community did not get the opportunity to come to our live event in March. It's okay. We recorded the entire thing and we broke it up into an online course where it has my speech, it has Alan's speech, Tori Aletto's speech, Dr. Taryn McCarthy's speech, as well as our Q&A, and it is broken into a wonderful course. We have cutscenes to show the PowerPoint presentation and all of that happy jazz. I do not know where you can get as valuable of content for $47. I believe that is the price point on our website. So it is wonderful. If you couldn't make it in person, it's great to revisit virtually, and it is yours on our website.
Also, if you are a listener of this show, Kevin and I would love to meet you. There's a link in the show notes to Kevin's calendar for a half an hour and to Alan's calendar for a half an hour. We would love to meet you. We're not going to sell you anything, we promise. We're going to jump on the phone and we're going to try to talk about life and health and wealth and love, and we're going to try to help you get to the next level of your life. We're not going to sell you a thing. If you ask us about our coaching services, of course we will tell you, but we're not trying to sell you anything. We genuinely just want to meet our listeners. I hope you book on our calendars.
And just, what's the word I'm looking for? Transparently. We value, the value of one community member to us is way more than, hey, I hope this turns into a client. Like, we have that understanding of the fact that we have so many amazing people in the community. One person means so much to us. So much. Because we realize how impactful that is for not only the rest of the community, not for listens, but for the future. We have the best people in the world who listen to this podcast. So to Alan's point, it's all about meeting you and adding value to your life. And if at the end you say, hey, what does it take to work together? We can definitely chat about that. But that is not the intention. That is not the goal. And that is not the ultimate result we are shooting for. So I wanted to second what Alan said.
At one point, our COO, Christina, was actually just a listener of the show. She was listening to the Hyperconscious podcast back in 2019 or 2018. So that was one community member.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know what meeting one listener can do. And relationships are rocket ships, I heard one time from a mentor of mine, mentor of ours, Kev, and it's true. So we hope to meet you. We're not going to sell you anything. I really, really want Kevin and I meeting more listeners. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And it's
I've never ever regretted it. It's a beautiful use of time.
And it's one thing that not a lot of other podcasters, not a lot of other business owners do. So we definitely enjoy it. Okay, we're going to go. Speaking of rocket ships, I know you had to throw that in there because of the hot air balloon. How dare you, sir? How dare you, sir?
And because we have to take off.
Yeah, very well done. Speaking of that, Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode number 1046. It is last week's live Q&A. How do I know if my self-talk is inflated? I love that, especially since we're talking a lot about self-worth. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And as always, at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.